Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Last episode, we left off at the palace of Kisra, where we talked about how Kisra gathered the magicians and the fortune tellers to find out what was happening. The magicians and fortune tellers told Kisra that the cause of the signs was none other than the birth of a prophet destined for greatness. Even the mysterious collapse of the 14 parts of the palace carried a prophecy. Only 14 kings would rule Persia, and then another ruler would take over. All of these events took place on the day Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was born, on Monday, the 12th of Rabi'ul Awwal. As we all know, the Prophet's mother was Aminah bint Wahb, and his father was Abdullah ibn Abdul Muttalib. But when the Prophet ﷺ was born, his father wasn't there. He had passed away months before the Prophet's birth. The Prophet ﷺ was born under the care of his grandfather Abdul Muttalib, who treated him like his own son and loved him deeply. As soon as the Prophet ﷺ was born, his grandfather Abdul Muttalib took him to the Kaaba, and at that moment he felt that this child would have a great future. Just as Abdul Muttalib delighted at the birth of the Prophet ﷺ, his mother Aminah was also filled with immense happiness. The Prophet ﷺ was from Quraysh tribe who lived in Mecca. It was a common tradition among Quraysh for their children to be raised in the desert, away from the city. Every now and then, witnesses would come to Mecca to take the children and raise them in the countryside. At the time of the Prophet's birth, witnesses from Banu Sa'd tribe arrived. This tribe was extremely poor, and the women were searching for children from families that could afford to support them financially. Among the witnesses was Halimah Sa'diyah, who had traveled with her husband Al-Harith. Each mother in Mecca held her baby, offering them to the witnesses, hoping one would take them. The witnesses from Banu Sa'd carefully chose the children they would take. When Aminah lifted her baby, Muhammad ﷺ, and the witnesses passed by, they would ask, "Is the father of this child alive?" Aminah would reply, "No, his father isn't there. He is an orphan." As soon as the witnesses heard this answer, they would walk away looking for another baby instead. Hours passed, and each witness from Banu Sa'd had taken a baby back with her. Only Halimah Sa'diyah was left without a child. The witnesses from Banu Sa'd prepared to leave, each carrying a child from Mecca. Aminah returned home with her beloved child still in her arms. At that moment, Halimah prepared to leave Mecca empty-handed. But then she turned to her husband and said, "I couldn't find a child to take, and the only one left is a little orphan." Her husband thought for a moment and replied, "Why don't we care for an orphan? We can raise him and receive the blessings and rewards of caring for him." So Halimah Sa'diyah went to Aminah's house, knocked on the door, asking it to take Prophet Muhammad ﷺ with her. And the blessings of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ immediately filled Halimah's home. And how fortunate is any house that has the Prophet ﷺ in it. One of the blessings was that Halimah owned some sheep, but they were weak and produced little milk. But when the Prophet ﷺ arrived at their home, the sheep became fat and began producing plenty of milk, so much milk. In fact, the neighbors of Halimah were amazed and whispered among themselves, Look at Halimah's sheep. See how fat and healthy they are. Let's do what she does so our sheep can grow the same way." The Prophet ﷺ stayed in Halimah's house for 2 years. growing and developing unlike any ordinary child. By the time Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was 2 years old, he looked older than his age and had become a strong, healthy boy. Halimah, her husband, and their children all grew attached to him, feeling how much their lives had changed. Their home was now filled with prosperity and blessings after Prophet ﷺ entered their lives. But just as everything has a beginning, it also has an end. Halimah Sa'diyah couldn't keep the Prophet ﷺ with her forever. The time had come for Halimah Sa'diyah to return the Prophet ﷺ to his mother Aminah. But what do you think? Would Halimah really return the Prophet ﷺ, knowing that the blessings and goodness in her home were because of him? And would Aminah be able to bear the thought of her beloved son being away from her for so long? We will find out what Halimah Sa'diyah did and what Aminah told her. Stay tuned for the next episode. Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
صلوا عليه أفضل الصلاة، صلوا ويزيد الشوق صلة لحبيبي بيرد السلام، والمولى بيزيد الصلاة. صلوا عليه أفضل صلاة، صلوا ويزيد الشوق صلة لحبيبي بيرد السلام، والمولى بيزيد الصلاة.